Welcome to Dear Alice, a lifestyle approach to interior design.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dear Alice. Suzanne just gave us jazz hands. You guys, we are the week before Thanksgiving. Where has 2024 gone?
Gosh, I know. This was supposed to be a year.
Did you say this was supposed to be your year?
Yeah.
Has it not been?
It's just been a hell of a year.
A hell of a year.
Yeah.
Do you know what I've liked 2024? Do you know what I didn't like 2023?
So true.
That girl was mean.
This feels like its cousin.
Yeah.
So,
You know what?
Yeah.
I would agree with you. I feel like we're tapering off in a better way than we started out 2024.
Do you wanna know-
I hated the beginning of 2024.
Do you want to know who hates 2024? P. Diddy. That's
Ooh.
who hates 2024.
Oh boy, homeboy's about to hate
2025.
the next 2 decades.
Yeah,
You guys,
totally.
that is a rabbit hole I cannot pull myself out of.
Oh my gosh.
It's been
so
a weird.
disturbing.
It's been a weird year. But on that note, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Yay, what do we have to be grateful for?
I feel like this is when all the magic starts. Like, I'm so giddy about it. Yeah.
I gotta say, I love Thanksgiving. Like, it's becoming one of my very favorite,
Yeah.
holidays. That and 4th of July.
4th of July.
Because there's no expectations.
No, you just
Except for
eat.
good food. You don't
Come
have to buy any
together.
gifts.
It's just togetherness.
You're a good host.
Yeah.
Those are adult holidays. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
It's like the
You
prequel
can-
to the Christmas.
Here's what
that we're
you
about to
can
jump
do
into.
as much or as little as you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're just, if you love fireworks and all that, you can go so big. You can go illegal. You can blow stuff up.
Why not? Yeah.
It's for everyone.
You can be that dude in your parents' cul-de-sac and
Chris Allred.
Yeah.
I'm
good for
so
him.
grateful for his love of America and blowing things up. It could not be more fun to sit on my parents' driveway and do nothing
Yeah.
but enjoy him just blowing up his $10,000 of hard-earned money.
Yeah.
It's the
You're
best.
invited.
And exhilarating
free.
at the same
I
time.
know.
It's the
Yeah.
best. I'm so grateful to him for loving America. It's a blast.
It's so good.
And Thanksgiving is also just the most fun and the togetherness and the smells and the food. And I don't know. It's just
Shopping.
I love the shopping. I was about
Yeah.
to say.
So
I love the shopping for
cute.
Christmas.
It-
And you know what? I love the hustle and bustle. I know people are like, oh, the crowds, it's just the worst. I like the vibe. I'm an extrovert though. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, yes, give it to me. I get so
It
good.
reminds me of like 20, 25 years, like when we were kids,
Right?
you know, and like everybody
go
was
to
at the
the
mall.
mall.
Yeah. And now you go to the mall, there's like 9 people here. You're like,
I
what the
know.
hell is going on?
I
This is the
know,
weirdest thing.
it's-
But during the holidays, it is nice.
I do.
And then I've also got really into Black Friday shopping because last year was the first time I did it.
Oh, tell
So
us
I have
about
I have a little, you know,
that.
list.
Tips?
Yeah.
Yes. So last year we just had a bunch of things we wanted to get for our house, some appliances, an ice maker, you know, and so I was like, well, I think there are going to be some good deals on these. There was literally probably $2,000 worth of stuff we wanted, and we at least saved like $400 to $500 on that.
That's
So I was like,
amazing.
we're
Wow.
going to do this again. So we were making a list all year.
Wow.
They're
Yeah.
like gifts for mom and dad for like the everyday convenience.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
Well,
to-
honestly, most of them are stuff that we've just like want to have ourselves. So we're just going to like buy it while we can get
Will
a
you give
deal.
me an example of something that's on your Black Friday list?
Yes,
I need you to inspire me.
a Breville espresso machine.
Those are beautiful.
Yes.
So pretty.
Yeah, in that green kitchen of yours?
Could
What are
be
we going to
that,
film a
right?
movie? What are
I
we
know.
doing in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Inviting people over? Or are you just going to live like that, I guess?
Just going to live like that
Live like
every
that
single
every
day.
day.
I used to work at Starbucks. So I was a barista.
Shut
So I don't know
up.
if you guys knew that about me. But
I did
yeah.
not know that
Yeah.
about you.
Yeah.
Old man place.
Wow.
So I
Nice.
love, I don't know. I love
He's the
steaming milk.
he's the fancy man.
He's the fancy man. Barista for you. Okay, I
And
love it.
so it's that, a bunch of like tools, a new miter saw, a portable table saw would be nice.
That
so
would be
yeah,
nice.
we'll see. Mari has her own list too.
Cute.
So kind of just like we're
Cute.
both on a computer and we're just like, I don't know, teching away, trying to figure
You're
it out.
typing up your Christmas lists
Yeah.
for Black Friday. I
Mhm.
love
Guys,
that.
I have precisely nothing on my Black Friday
Really?
list. No, we've just been feverishly trying to get a store ready for Black Friday.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
you know, just
When you're putting on a sale, it's harder to really.
I feel
take
like we're
advantage of.
putting on the homecoming dance for America or something. I don't know. It's just been
Mhm.
like your own kind of heavy lift that way. And so when you get home, you're like, thank you, home, for everything working and nothing going wrong right now, so that I can focus on the Super Bowl that is my life, which is
Friday.
Black Friday. Yeah. So I
Serious.
don't think about what we need that way. But you know what I wish I could have gotten on Black Friday was that tire I had to buy last week.
Oh man.
That I got razor blade in my tire. And so, yeah, that would have been nice to get a Black Friday price on that, girl.
Tires are the worst way
It's
to spend
putting
money.
your money
I
in
know.
teeth,
I just
too, in your
recently,
mouth.
last Friday, I had to buy new tires. Like, hey, there's not a,
Oh.
I would rather spend $1,000 almost on anything else.
No.
hate
I
it.
wish my tires were $1,000.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm going
I
to
mean-
tell you, also, if you live in Utah, you got to take tires seriously because we have a serious winter condition here. And it's not safe to not have good tires. So I feel like we get to buy tires often.
So
I
true.
feel like it's like every other year thing. It probably isn't that extreme. It feels like
Sure.
it though.
Let me tell you a story called If You Buy a Tesla, which I do not, those cars are so heavy, the tires only last 1 year.
No way.
No way.
That's
It's like
what-
an oil change.
That's what nobody
Go.
tells
I'm
you.
gonna
My
afford
dad
it.
had a Tesla and then he tried a different Tesla and he's like, these are not for me. He's a car guy.
Mm.
And he loves a German engineering. We're German. My maiden name's Lukinge. We're like, we all love a German car. Dad was like, I'm going to give it a try. He's open mindset. He loves new stuff. Tried 2 different Teslas. And he was like, what nobody tells you is because those cars are so heavy, you burn through a set of tires every year. You have to get a new set.
Crazy.
Is that
That's-
wild?
That's the money you're saving in gasoline right there. I don't know,
Girl,
probably not
sorry.
that much,
I
but
know.
yeah.
Truly, why
The
are
environment.
we doing a podcast on Teslas? I don't know. I was saying I would have liked to have gotten a good deal on my tire, and that was the only thing on my shopping list. Suze, what's on your Black Friday shopping list?
Well, you're gonna be really excited about this. We took Nolan to Lagoon. It's where the fun is. It's the amusement park here in Salt Lake City.
I forgot that was their slogan. That's amazing.
No. It's what fun is.
Oh, it's what fun is.
She was in
Okay.
advertising. I don't know if y'all knew that.
I was an art director in ad agencies.
Did you come up with the, was
for
that
the
it?
first decade? And no, Lagoon already had the tagline,
okay.
"It's what fun is."
Still good.
And I was the art director on their account and Starbucks, actually.
Oh,
Small
crazy.
world. Your
Wow,
2 Black
we're
Friday
just
lists.
full circle.
Old Aunt Jess over here used to do all their advertising. Anyway, it's what fun is.
It is what fun is, but
Yeah.
like it was like $100 like per person for us to go this last summer, and I was just like, whoa! And there was all these people, and I was sitting in line with a lady, and she's like, and my kid Nolan loved it. He had so much fun.
That's so cute.
It was so much fun, and he was
tell
so
the
excited.
people how old Nolan is.
Nolan is 9 years old.
Okay,
like,
that helps.
going on 20.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a wise soul, but he loved it so much, and it was so fun. And we left all the other little Rugrats at home. We just took Nolan.
Cute.
And he was just like, he just had so much fun. They were like, it would be really fun to give him a season pass. And like, he would be so jazzed about it. And the lady in line was just like, Black Friday. Like, don't spend the everyday, like the $100 each. Like, just get a Black Friday. It's
Did
amazing.
she say what it does cost? Or no?
No, but it's
Oh.
like saves you a lot. She's like, you paid for it in 2 visits, pretty much.
Crazy.
So like, yeah, amazing. So I think we might get some Lagoon season passes. Nope. No one's not listening.
Mhm.
That's cute.
Couple of years.
I love that.
But so that's one of the things. But I haven't even ever gone and like made a list
yeah.
for myself.
Well, you know what?
Yeah.
We got to fire it up. We got a week.
Mm,
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So we're going to be like Corey and we're going to save ourselves hundreds of dollars
yes.
by
Yeah.
spending thousands.
Yep.
Exactly.
Black Friday, America,
Deals
am I
And
right?
you get all the stuff that I don't know.
I
Yeah.
know.
It feels
It
good.
makes your life better.
Yeah. That's adult Christmas for me.
Because you
Adult
want to know what?
Christmas.
Mari's about to get herself a barista.
Exactly.
Sure.
She's
Yeah.
so lucky.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm going
know.
to put on the apron. I'm going to get back
Oh,
into
I
it.
like it. Speaking
I
of
love
firing it up,
Yes.
Corey, what are we talking about today?
Today's episode is all about fireplaces, and it comes from a listener question. So let's start with that. The listener question comes from Angela, no last name, in the UK. Thank you so much, Angela. Sorry about that. But she wrote in and asked, with regard to the cast concrete mantle that is often discussed, could you confirm whether this is just the top shelf of the fireplace or the whole of the fireplace? And is it pre-colored, painted, stained, or left concrete gray?
This is a great,
great
question.
question. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll answer this.
Go for it.
Yeah, so we love a precast mantle. I think we've been specifying them in homes for at least a decade, if not more. It's been kind of a favorite. If you're not doing marble, we do love a marble surround. But precast has been a way to kind of get the look of stone or just like one solid big surface. And you can make a more contemporary, more traditional, fits great in a transitional home. It's a good price point to kind of get this really big, grand look. So we love it. So in answer to your question, Angela, we don't just do the top shelf. We do the entire surround. So it's got the legs and the top. And we usually like this about 10 inches deep at least, because you want to be able to put your big hurricanes, your candles, books, all of that on top. Your holiday, if you celebrate the holidays, a nice garland, stocking holders, all of that. It just takes a lot of depth.
Yep.
So when you just do a shelf, that's going to really lessen the depth of it. And that's probably one of the biggest reasons why. The top shelf kind of feels like an accent wall when you're decorating a room. It just is like one thing and it feels like it's missing something.
Yeah.
So we like an entire surround on the mantle place. She asks, is it pre-colored, painted, or stained? You can choose what color of concrete. When you go to the precast place, they have several shades they offer. And the color is mixed right into the sort of concrete mix, and then it's poured and cast. And so it comes out just looking, whatever you want it to be. You can make it look more like limestone and have it look more natural and, something more like unto this, which I think is what we generally go toward.
Yep.
We did precast mantles in our new showroom that we're in here. We have 3 of them, and they're a really beautiful kind of biscuit color, and it looks great. We kind of went through a gray period and we've come out of a gray period. So I would not recommend doing anything like that right now, unless you're really industrial and you're very contemporary and maybe you want it to look more like concrete. But you can really choose kind of a range, and they'll offer those ranges where you go. Here in Utah, what's our favorite place called?
Stone Mountain Castings.
Stone Mountain Castings, yeah. We have we have our favorite few colors that we choose from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I found out too that they don't do, there's cast stone, which I think people have like seen like with the limestone, and then there was this GFRC, which is like this concrete material that you're talking about in your question. And they've come a long way where it doesn't feel cold and sterile, but it has like swirled, not like a marble or anything, but there's just like more pitting. There's more pitting and more where it looks like a stone. And so you really like, honestly, the average eye won't be able to tell if one is stone versus one
if it's
GFRC.
Limestone or if it's concrete. Yeah,
exactly. Which is
and
so
that's what you're
great.
going for, because if you were to buy slabs of stone to make this, it would be so much more expensive. And so you're going for that more high end look. Yeah.
So I'm excited for you, but do the whole thing. And the nice thing, and when we got this question, we're like, you know what? There's a lot to fireplaces, and we do get a lot of questions about fireplaces, and this just kind of springboarded the whole episode of just like what goes into a fireplace.
Yeah.
From the box to the different size mantles to the cost to the limitations. And so that's what we want to talk to you about today. Is fireplaces.
There's a lot of you that are going through maybe a remodel on maybe decisions that were made for you, right? You might have just moved into a home, or maybe you decided on these things yourself maybe 20 years ago, and you're like, what would really make this fresh and new, a new fireplace? Because it's generally like the focal point that everybody gathers around if you do have a fireplace. So you really want to get it right. And because most of the time you're in a sitting room, you're seated, then that means your eye level is the fireplace, right? And getting the mantle right. And so it's often a big budget piece that we're doing in a room that has a fireplace. And there's so many different ways to skin this cat. So we're going to go through our favorite looks, and then we're also going to tell you how to get the look for a little bit less money. So depending on where you are on the gamut of price range, hopefully we can help you know how to get that look for less, or help you achieve that grand, big, beautiful dream, doing it this old-fashioned, beautiful way.
I know. And I think when I think about like what is the ideal fireplace, what would I do if I was building a house right now and I wanted to do like anything? I love the look of a custom fireplace. Now let's just talk really fast about just kind of the pyramid of fireboxes. You have a custom fireplaces, which is what you can do. You can do any size. It's what you see when you go into castles and go to Europe and you go to historic homes and you see this like open-faced firebox that has no glass in front of it. And you can see like the masonry. You can see that herringbone thin stacked brick on the back liner of that firebox. That's a custom. Usually like if it's super thin and if they're big and open, that's usually a custom. There's a lot of cool companies now that create kind of this custom kit where you can get the look of an open face still with like interior liners that you can choose from to get that look. And so we at ALID, we do custom. We do a lot of these kits as well. to get the look, but we do love an open face. And that is like, especially for your great room or your living room, I think the open face is the most expensive looking. I think it feels the most custom, even if it is a kit. And I think that is like what I want you to take from this podcast is if you were going to put a firebox and a whole mantle and the whole system in your house, knowing that you can get that custom look in a kit type, and that's what you should go with for that public space, I think is like such a key takeaway.
Yeah, we're going to help you in this podcast be really discerning about the firebox that you're going to choose, because that really matters. And it's going to give you an amazing custom look. You don't just have to go to some fireplace place and just choose and insert and get it put in and then figure out what goes around it. By getting the firebox right, this is going to really make your house look fully custom. Like they built the firebox. They had to line it with these herringbone liners. Like we're really going to help you get there.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we're hoping the takeaway can be.
Yes. And so I wanted to talk first about kind of limitations. Like what is the size limitation that you're dealing with? For custom, you don't have any limitations. You can do whatever you want, but you pay for that. If you were going with a stocked, a brand like, we use the Birmingham a lot from Heatolator. And we do a lot of these kits. The average size for most people is about a 42-inch wide firebox. Okay. And so like figure out your size, figure out the kind of like what price point you're dealing with as you start to build up this firebox. But when you do go to a kit, there are limitations. You know, you'll go on to the brand. If you're working with a builder, he'll tell you what he wants to work with. And then you're going to say, I want a custom light kit. I want an open face. And then you're going to go to that website and you're going to figure out what's width is good for your room. Okay. And so.
Or your designer's going to do this.
Or your designer's going to do this. Yeah. That's what we do. Okay. So yeah, as far as like limitations, no limitations with custom. And then if you are going to go with a kit, you're going to like go with one of their actual standard kit sizes.
Your builder's going to have favorite preferred vendors that he uses all the time. The easy part about that is you're just getting like this gas fireplace box, and you can have it just vent out the back of the firebox, right? So on the back of my house, because I have something like that, it vents out that way. I do have a chimney. It's 4 looks. Yeah, you don't have to have it. If you do the firebox, the custom firebox, you need yourself a nice big chimney to allow for all of the firepower, the oxygen, all of the ventilation. The bigger the firebox, the bigger the chimney, the more chimney pots. This is going to give your house a really awesome estate-like look. Yeah. And it really does have to vent out the chimney.
And and that's the vertical is like the best way for that ventilation to happen. And depending on the size of the box, depends on the size of the room. And so, and that will matter when you start to get into the mechanics of like how many pipes are going up and down that chimney flue to make it work.
Yeah.
So if you want something really, really big, just know that you're going to have more ventilation and more content in that firebox to vent it. So
what's interesting is if you drive around and like you're in a more affordable neighborhood, like a new neighborhood, right? And I say affordable, like those houses aren't even affordable anymore.
Yeah,
but they're small. They're smaller, and they almost would look like what a starter home would be today. And they don't have chimneys, but I promise you they have fireplaces. And the way they're doing is they just can vent out the back because they have just these ready-made boxes that you just choose a size, you put it in, you do a surround, and there's no chimney. So I think it's fun to drive through really nice neighborhoods and count the chimneys or see the chimneys. And the fireboxes are good. And to me, it's the look of a really well-built house. It's kind of a giveaway, So I just thought I'd bookmark that for a minute.
I love that. And I will say when I'm like looking on Pinterest and like gathering inspiration, even as we were like looking for images to show you today, you can tell the custom ones by the size of the matchstick liner, like on the back of it.
Yeah, good point.
And I want to pull a couple over here. This is a home that we are working on in Odessa, and these are some of the custom firebox. And I talked to the builder on this to just ask him some of these questions kind of in preparation for the podcast. And really, you can do anything when you get into custom.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And especially when it comes to the masonry, this thin kind of, it's called the splits, I think.
It looks
Firebrick.
The Firebrick almost looks like a brick that's been cut in half the long way. So they look like half bricks, and it looks like a herringbone braid. You ladies know what that is.
Do.
And I think this is the look
It's
that
the
you
look.
want, right?
It's
if
so
you're doing
fantastic.
Fireplace.
And this is when you actually have like a mason and they are like individually laying these in the
Mhm.
desired pattern. Like we see the herringbone a lot. And I just love the thin set of this. You
This
can,
is
but you can
the-
do anything.
This is the American dream. When
Yeah.
you think of like the
Mm.
ideal fireplace, you're like, that's what I want.
That's my dream.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yep.
And you can control the color on a custom too, on the actual, like you can do something like a little bit more neutral or buff. When you get into the standard Firebox liners, they'll probably have like 4 or 5 for you to choose from. And they're usually a little bit more pinky or a little bit more yellow. And they're not as thin as that.
Yeah.
Like they're a little bit more of like 3x6. And
They're
just
wider.
Like, it's still, you can still do it herringbone, but they're just bigger and fatter of a brick
Yeah.
than the thin set. And so I'm like, that's the giveaway for me if I know it's custom versus if I know it's a kit.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I feel like mine was a kit, and my bricks are straight up beige.
Yeah.
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 And that's all that there was
Yeah.
at the time. And the more I turn it on, the blacker it gets. And I'm like,
which is lovely.
darn it all. I should have painted that brick black
Yeah.
before, right? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I could have done that.
Yeah.
So
But which is we've done that for a lot of homes when we don't like the color of it or it's going to clash with the stone or the mantle that we're going to be doing on it. I think is
Yes.
a real like key thing to
takeaway.
know that you're designing this holistically and you
Yeah.
understand your stone, your cast concrete, your millwork as you're picking out your firebox, which is a lot because usually if you're building a home, they need to know your firebox when they need to know your plumbing and your electrical at the very, very beginning.
yeah.
That's one of the first things we spec. And so knowing that like I'm going to get a Birmingham from Heatolator, and that's going to be my firebox. I might be painting that black
Yeah.
because I don't know exactly. So
Here's also what I want to say is you can get yourself a Birmingham from Heatolator that's going to be the most custom looking. And then you can spend all of that other money on the surround, which
Girl.
is what everybody's going to see. And you want to understand your budget because at the beginning of building your home or at the beginning of any project, you feel like you have a lot of money because you're like, this project is hundreds of thousands
Oh
of
my
dollars.
gosh, that goes quick.
It
Yeah.
goes so fast. And
Yep.
so you might want all that custom firebox money to be on the inside of your house where you can see it. And you can just do yourself a big favor and get yourself the Birmingham.
Mhm.
or the
And
outside of the firebox.
Can you just give them, will
Yeah.
you give them a difference in price between the Birmingham from Heatolator, which is 42 inches, which is what we use on most of our projects. How much does it cost to get that versus getting probably that same size built custom and getting that American Dream with the really special herringbone liner and all that?
Yep. I would say that you're starting, around when I talked to Tyson or guy from Hearth and Home, and he's like, you're starting at like $5,000 versus
For a
when you-
kit?
For a
Uh,
Heatolator?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And you can find depending on the size. These are
For the
all
Firebox.
variables, right? Depending. Okay. So
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just say starting with 5,000 for a decent sized box. That's like a 42 inch or something that's going to look grand, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Versus when you're dealing with custom, those Firebox would start closer to
At 16,000.
Yeah, like 16,000.
So
Yeah.
that's like
Okay.
3X just on the Firebox itself. Not to mention, guess what else you got to get yourself with that? Gift with purchase. No, just kidding. You're going to pay for it too. A chimney,
Mm.
right? Because
Yeah.
the
All the
Heatolator,
mechanics.
you can go ahead
Mhm.
and just shoot that right out the back of your house. And now all of a sudden you got to get chimney pots and yada, yada, yada,
I'd
and
rather sink
venting
that
and
into a cooler mantle.
a marble mantle.
Yeah, what
Mhm.
people are going to
Any
see.
kind of, anything. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah.
The glass fronts, I think, are the ones that you can shoot out the back or the sides. I still
Oh,
think if
that's
you're open
right.
face, you still have to be
That
vertical.
is true.
because
yeah.
you still have all the
You
BTUs.
still have all the stuff coming in and out.
Yeah.
So
Look at the technology, the
Thank
jargon
you.
over there.
Thank you,
yeah.
Connie.
that's a lot of
BTUs.
pipes.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's do this for the remainder of the podcast because we keep kind
We
of
have
switching back
so
and forth.
many things, guys.
Let's just talk about the American Dream, which is
Okay.
the custom Firebox,
Okay.
briefly, because I think
Yeah.
it's good for us to know and have appreciation for that. And then let's go into the most common thing because most of us here are going to want to spend the money on our surround,
It's true.
right?
Okay. Yep.
So let's just discuss that.
Yes. So sorry, you guys. There's so much information. I'm sorry I'm jumping around, but it's just so exciting. I just love the technicalities.
so
I love
exciting.
a research project.
Yeah, you do.
Okay. So we talked about the liner. That's that masonry. With custom, you can do anything,
Yep.
which is so exciting, which
Yep.
is what that picture was.
Yes.
Okay.
Custom
For-
Firebox.
When you're dealing with a custom, you just still need to have like a log set. It's gas. You can do a dual fuel. So
Mhm.
that means that you can have like a gas, you can flip the switch, or you can also like have an actual fire in it.
In case of emergency,
Emergencies.
fire goes out.
Or-
Gas. You can't use gas
Or if
because
you married an Eagle Scout, he wants to show you how you can
suddenly you've got to build a fire.
Exactly.
So you got logs in the garage that you've been waiting to use, that you can switch it over to that mode and build yourself a real fire. I don't know how it works,
Yeah,
but
I think
right?
so. Yeah.
I just hear them say dual fuel, and you're like, that's cool. Let's do that. We're
Really, one's more just like it's a one fuel, and then you can also just light your
Yeah.
own fire inside
Yeah.
of it. Yeah.
In case
Yeah.
of emergency.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
most people, like 10 out of 10, we're just doing gas. So,
Yep.
yes. So you can do that. For when you have to go select that like insert, the log set or the cannonballs or whatever your aesthetic is, right? You can just like, if you're just for actual custom one, you're just going to go to your like Fireplace local store and you can pick out what that looks like depending on the size of your box.
we love a cannonball, folks.
I do love a cannonball. Isn't that gorgeous?
It's so good.
Yeah.
We expect to see logs. So when you see, non-directional fireballs,
Fireballs. Yeah.
so that's so
don't-
I like getting
gorgeous.
fireball
This
better.
is so as an alternate to the log, this is what we do. Like we love it so much. Don't do like the cracked ice and the fire.
Don't do
Don't
it.
do that. I just want to say that out loud.
Don't be tempted by that.
Don't. And they'll be like, oh, it's going to tell your future. You don't want it. Like it's the worst.
It's the worst. Do you know what it reminds
Hate
me
it.
of? Like if there's a fish tank in the wall. It's that energy.
You converted your fish tank into a firebox.
Yeah. Hey.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally get that.
Oh gosh.
I just want, everyone just like, don't be tempted by it. Just like,
I don't
and
even care if
honestly-
you have a contemporary home and you have that long, beautiful slit of a fireplace. It's like 72 inches by like 16 inches. Still don't do the cracked ice in it. Don't do it.
No.
Do the fireball.
It's
just-
just so much more expensive.
Yeah, you're
looking.
better than the cracked ice.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're better
Yeah.
than cracked ice.
I don't even care.
Thank you.
I don't care if you live in Las Vegas. I don't care.
You're better
I don't
than
care if you live in the most beautiful, showy place on earth. Don't do the cracked ice.
100%.
Good talk.
Yes. Very, very, very good talk. Okay. All right. But yeah, with the log set, you're just going to find the prettiest one for your thing. I really like the birch logs. I think that those are really pretty and those are nice and light.
Yes.
So anyway,
Birch logs.
yes. There's
Well,
like
both
a
of
little bit
these-
lighter.
Both of these are birch
Lighter.
logs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that they're lighter and prettier and they just look more expensive. So
It's traditional.
it's traditional.
It's what you
I
expect.
think it's so pretty.
Yeah, it's
So,
beautiful.
anyway.
You know yourself. Be true to yourself.
Yep. So with custom, you're going to pick out your insert and you can like even just like search for it online. You can buy it online for your Firebox. Okay. With custom, when I talked to my homeboy in Texas, no limitation as far as where you can put a custom fireplace. So you can do it everywhere. You can do it in the great room. You can do it
In the master bedroom?
in the master bedroom. It depends on your city code.
Mm.
Where he lives, he's not feeling any restrictions. Even when I talked to our guy here in Utah, he's like, it's a strong suggestion not to do it in your primary bedroom because he had a great example of the reason why you don't want to do that. Because again, with an open face custom box, you are venting it. You have an open conduit going from like your room to the open air, right? So he had one
It's
client.
drafty.
It's drafty. He had one client that just like really pressed him, and it's not that you can't do it. He just said that you shouldn't do it because again, the open conduit. So this guy was building at the point of the mountain in Utah, which is like really, really windy.
Mm.
So they're building this house
On
the guy
top of the mountain.
On top of the mountain. He wants to do this open face in his primary bedroom. He moves in. It's really windy up there and he can hear everything. He can hear the wind and it's super loud
All night.
all the
yeah.
time. And he's like, builder, like
if it's raining,
please like
if it's raining,
make
he's
it
hearing
stop.
rain.
Make it stop. And you
Yeah.
can't unless you just
Yeah.
shut the whole thing down.
Mhm.
And so that is why like having the glass front makes a little bit more sense in a bedroom, just so you don't have that open air, rain, wind, any of those things waking you up in the middle of the night.
Do
It's
they have
loud.
like? Is it called the flue?
Hmm? Yeah.
Can you like close that?
You close the flue, but there
But
must have
it's
been.
still-
You have to remember to open it if you're going
That's
to turn the
true.
fireplace
Or-
on.
Yes.
Someone's gonna do a little. Is it carbon monoxide that you would get from that?
Yeah.
Something.
Such a bummer.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, obviously the installation time for a custom is going to be a lot longer also than how fast it is to install just a standard gas.
Yep.
So this is
You've got to be able to frame it up. You've got to build it out, right? And then you've got to
amazing.
come in. You've got to skin it.
Mhm.
You've got to flue it. You've got to do all the things. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
our guy in Texas. I'm like, tell me how long would it take a guy to do this masonry work versus like if I just threw a gas one. He's just like, oh, that's like a 4 or 5 day job versus a gas one. He's like, he could do that in an hour. And I'm
That's
like, okay,
crazy.
that's for a master builder. Those are his
Yeah.
like time. But just so you know, like custom, it takes longer. It's more expensive. There's just like a lot more pieces
Detail
and parts and
yeah.
stuff that you have to control the look of. If you're going to go that route, we love the look
Love it.
so much.
Yeah.
But
If you're building a lodge up in Park City or a big cabin or something like that, I think you definitely do the custom firebox because it's all about gathering around that fire and talking. It's a moment and you expect to have a grand fireplace. I think he even said he did one that was 6 feet tall by 6 feet wide. A 6 foot tall man could
can you
stand
imagine?
inside the firebox.
That's crazy.
But it's also got a lot of heat power, right? It's going to fill an entire cabin with warmth, you know, or you're going to sit on this really long hearth with your little wet bum after you've skied all day and you want to warm up. So most of these fireplaces that we talk about today don't get used. I'd say like 97% of the time.
Especially in Texas.
Right? Like I think about how often have I ever turned mine on? Maybe if the furnace went out, I've turned mine on in the living room, but
Really?
it's not turning up the whole house,
yeah.
right?
Just for the
that's true.
pretty.
That's
You ever like
true.
turn it on just for the pretty?
Yeah, like if a friend comes over, I'll turn it on, but then you get hot fast. So you're maybe going to have it on for like an hour at the most, but then you're like, oh man, it's pretty, but we got to turn this
Flashes.
off, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's
hot. Yeah, it gets warm
Totally.
fast. It's really fun for ambiance.
Mhm.
And you know, the size of your room. And if you have tall ceilings, because heat rises, you could probably leave it on a lot longer. This is a single story room with 10-foot high ceilings. So it heats up. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I did want to share with you guys on these custom fireplaces, you can go fully custom, build the box. The custom like brands that I think we use a lot too is Isokern. You'll hear that term a lot, and they have a lot of different like varieties that you can choose from. And I feel like Isokern is the most customizable, you know, for even like kind of in that kit arena. So
And that's
anyway.
ISOKIR.
Kern.
Kern.
Yeah. The builder I talked to, he's like, I liken it to like Ford or Chevy. They're pre-made component engineered box, but any mason can put it together. So you get the look of it, but it's custom. So anyway, so Isokern, use that verbiage when you're talking to your builder and he'll know what you're talking about.
Great.
So that's great.
Love.
Okay. All right. Oh, but this is one other fun little fact about custom before we go into standard. With custom, your options for your chimney caps, they open up so much more. Who doesn't love a cute chimney cap?
Love
y'all?
it. It's like a chess piece sitting on top of your chimney.
It's the cutest. So when you go on that like tour of the high-end estate neighborhoods, like look at their chimney caps because I guarantee you they're interesting.
Especially the European looking homes. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
but
detail.
with the standard, it's usually just those stainless steel mushroom caps. So not as fun. So anyway, that was another fun thing about custom. If you're gonna go throw down the $16,000 to $25,000,
Not to
that
mention the
firebox.
chimney and
Not
the
to
fire cap and the
and the
chimney
mantle.
caps. And then the mantle
starting
surround.
at
But when you do see that, just give them a round of applause in your mind because
Sure,
they went ahead and purchased a really nice car and parked it right there in the
They
center of the room to
sure
be
did.
appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A 2012 car,
Mhm.
not a 2024 car.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
That's true.
Okay.
Great.
And then for all like the standard boxes, I think we've said enough about boxes. I feel
Yeah.
like I'm getting boring. But anyway, it's basically you pick from their options and you pick the best. I would say when you're looking for your firebox, as much transparency as you can get is key.
Yeah.
Like when you're like looking at a glass front or non-glass front standard, you just want a very thin frame, mostly glass, so you can see as much fire as possible when you're buying that standard kit.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say on that one.
And I think those are more available today. I feel like back when
100%.
I was building 10 years ago, I'm just going to show you guys my party foul. I mean, mine's great.
Yours is beautiful.
It's great. But I will say this is what was available then. You can see that big black frame surrounding my firebox. It was, I mean, that's a lot, right? That's like an inch and a half of black frame around it. Today, you really want to look for those that are just seamless, where you're just, where you can just look right into the firebox and you're not seeing a big frame surrounding it, right?
Yep.
So that's what you're looking for.
Yep.
You want that look of the American Dream custom firebox.
Exactly.
You don't want to see a frame. You want to see nothing. You want to see right in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. So that's the guts.
Yep.
That's the firebox. Let's talk mantles.
Let's talk
Okay.
mantles.
The pretty stuff that you're going to want to spend your money on.
Yep.
So our very, very favorite kind of mantle that you do, I think this is like a spot for like in your living room. We did this for Rachel Parcells' living room.
Cue Rachel Parcells photo. Yes.
Okay. Yes. In her living room, in her library, we also did this. And these are like carved stone. So her firebox is definitely all custom. And then the mantle is actually like a carved stone, like, you can get this in a variety. There's when we do a carved stone or a carved marble, that we have like a stone place here that they really do carve everything, and that's going to be your most expensive. The cool thing about carved marble mantles is like you can spend the money for that, but there's also so many options out there now where there's different companies that are importing them, in pieces, and then your builder assembles them, which is what we did for her living room. Also, you can buy them on Etsy, guys. Like you can actually start your Firebox journey by finding your mantle first and then reverse engineering your Firebox with that.
That may tell you
this one.
if you're doing custom or yes, exactly. Okay.
Exactly. But you can honestly, on First Dibs, Etsy, Cherish, estate sales, you can estate auctions. You can get some really, really beautiful antique French. We just recently saw this little bit from Nate Burkus. And he was like, I love looking at old French marble mantles. He's like, and I'll start a project with that. And I'm like, it's so true. If you can start your Firebox search with a story like that, gorgeous. Your mantle's taken care of. And then you're just having your builder help you design around that. The other great thing about an all stone or an all cast mantle like these that Jess is showing you is that the whole thing is non-combustible. When you're dealing with a Firebox, depending on the size of your Firebox, you have to have, 8 to 12 inches of non-combustible around that Firebox. And so that means that if you were dealing with millwork or something, we'll get into those mantles, you have to have tile, and then it just grows that footprint of the mantle that much more. Mm-hmm. But if you can just be dealing with a beautiful cast stone mantle or cast, concrete mantle, you're all mantle and mostly Firebox. And that's the prettiest thing I think you can do.
So pretty. So those are all beautiful examples. If you guys are watching, those are all beautiful examples of marble mantles that we've done throughout different projects. And for the majority of these that we just showed, we have used a ready-made Firebox from Isokern or Heatolator. And and we tried to do our best to get that look of the custom one with the herringbone brick. We'll leave the glass front off in some circumstances, or we'll use the glass front depending on the room. And we really just spend the money on the mantle.
Yeah.
You're still spending $6,000 on a Firebox. So it's not that it's cheap, but you're getting this big grand look. You want a big Firebox. If you're going for a room right now, he said the standard size was 32 by something.
You can start with the 36 inches. He's like, you guys are usually doing average is 42 width.
Yeah. So you want that big look. It's one of those space expanding tricks. So if you can do the 42, do the 42, because that's going to look like one of those big custom Fireboxes.
Spread across. It's tall. 42 is a lot.
Yeah. It is. Yeah.
Almost 4 feet.
Definitely.
Which is amazing. I did want to share a couple numbers with the custom, the marble.
Yeah.
If you had a fairly simple, this is from our builder in Texas that did some of those custom Fireboxes for us. Because we're doing a lot of carved mantle in that home. And he says for 2 Fireplace mantles in that home, the 2 that we're doing out of marble is $38,000 for the mantles.
Okay.
So that's where you're sitting at when you're dealing with carved marble, being fabricated now with, someone.
Is that a custom design, or do they have
custom design?
Okay.
That's us designing it for them. They're making the mantle for us. Again, if you go through these other channels of finding it at a decently good deal, right? The Etsy's, those things, that will obviously save you a lot of money.
Yep. I'm going to use this example because I know it was something that Drew Parcell was really proud of. He got this one from China, and this was pieces and parts of a marble one that he had his tile setter put together, and it's massive. This is a 2-story mantle.
Yeah.
But then they did a real carved mantle in the family room and went for it there. So it's just a way of making your budget look. But this is still really grand and beautiful and impressive. Yeah.
So, yeah. But he says if you do have a fairly simple stone and it's smaller, he's like, I could start that at $3,000, but it can go up to $50,000. So it's a broad range when you're dealing with carved marbles and things. On the cast stone or concrete mantles, let's get into that because we do those a lot. And honestly, when you're looking at a whole house, we'll do again the carved marble in a living room or a library, and maybe the primary bedroom if they have a fireplace, we'll do the marble. if you're talking about family rooms and more casual, relaxed spaces, we'll often do these cast ones like the GFRC, the concrete, just because you can get a big mantle for a lot less than doing a carved marble. So anyway, we love these. Let's see. Again, you're all still non-combustible. They're gorgeous, more relaxed.
This is what the
And you're
listener
custom.
question opened with,
Yes.
wanting to know about these GFRC, like what colors do they come in? You can see the colors that we're choosing. We can design them, and then they go ahead and make a mold and cast them in this GFRC sort of concrete material.
In the color that we want. And it's just natural. And it gives, you can find some really cool profiles. I think with all these examples, you can like really feel the personality of the client through the mantle.
Yeah.
And these are starting a little bit more. It used to be like a few years ago, you could get one of these, like a simple design for $2,000.
I know.
I think it's more
There's
around
6
$5,000
today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 to 6,000 starting.
When we did this store, I think weren't they around 6 in
Yeah,
like
they-
2022?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
about, just over
Yeah.
5, I think.
So depending on how clever you are about shopping on Etsy, you could probably get a marble surround for the same price.
Probably,
I
yeah.
would really shop that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
would-
shipping may, that may like play into it as well.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, you'll get probably more bang for your buck, I think.
And
if you're
something
doing
really
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
Also,
for
Exactly.
I think is very
sure.
tempting. I think if like you're at our building tomorrow, I think that's what we would do. We'd probably try and find a really rad marble mantle.
I think with some of the product development work we're doing, we could definitely get ourselves a marble mantle.
Cheerio. Cheerio,
Have to
cheerio.
come out with
I
a
know a
line
guy.
of marble
Marble line.
mantles.
A
Yes,
marble line. I love it.
definitely.
Okay.
These are
Awesome.
both really nice transitional or contemporary versions of precast that
Yeah.
we've done. So this can really mold to whatever style that you are.
Amazing.
It's such a nice material that's non-combustible, like you said, and can be customized to whatever size firebox. You can make it as grand, as short, as contemporary, simple as you want.
It's fun because when you look at all these like mantles, there's usually a lot of other interesting things happening around it. So depending on just like how much focus you want, like
Yeah.
even that last one that was really simple, the mirror above it was really complex.
Yeah.
And the sconces and like, so just depending on like if you're a hero on a hero kind of girl, or if you are, there's a real balance to thinking about the scene holistically,
Yeah.
about the mantle.
You're talking about this
the mirrors.
scene.
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, she was eclectic. She had gallery, she had art, all these things. And so it was important to kind of keep the mantle simple just because we knew we were going to layer a lot of ooey gooeys on top of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's great. Speaking of contemporary, I think this is a really
I
nice
love this
one.
we designed. This is for a home here in Fruit Heights, and just the channeling and the legs. Like it shows like the variety they can do when you deal with cast.
Yeah.
I just love
It's
it.
kind of like the new millwork. You know what I mean? How you can do
really
anything
is.
with millwork.
We're not doing as much with millwork. That was kind of the
We
third
really
option, the
aren't.
millwork with tile,
Yeah.
non-combustible around. I know we did it in your living room.
Yeah. You want to talk about
And,
it?
Yeah. And we
Okay.
recently we're hopping. I don't know if you
Yeah. So I'll put my living room up
tell
here
us
again.
about your fireplace.
Yeah. So
and what
I
we
built
did.
my home in 2014,
14.
15. Yeah. And anyway, so at this point, I got the Firebox. I did non-combustible 10 inches of zebra stone surrounding it, and then drew up what I wanted the finish worker to make. And then we painted that mantle white. This was pretty normal at the time to draw up and have your finish worker make your mantle.
Mhm.
When I think about my mom's home, which is like 20 years old, she has massive millwork done in mahogany on her mantle with really beautiful stones surrounding it. So this was a really common thing. You can see this example too, really beautiful. But you could do just about anything. I think here, again, you're going to want to get a lot of depth. I do think this is an affordable trick for the most
Cost
part.
savings.
You have a lot of different craftsmen involved because you've got your finish worker, you've got your tile setter, right? You've got to get your guy that's going
Or
to
just
hook
putting the
up.
box in. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like as much. It's a, the
So
contract.
it's a multi-step process.
Yeah, the contractor's going to really babysit it. And then you had some good dimensions for if you're doing the non-combustible material about how much you have to use on the floor in front of the fireplace. I have zebra stone on the ground because it has to be non-combustible on the ground in front of the fire too.
It was I had 8 to 12 inches around the firebox on the actual face of it. But then coming out, you're 16 to 20 inches depth as far as your ground hearth, depending on the size
of your firebox.
And that's like per inch how much you have to like build that, just for, again, just safety.
So you're going to want to check with codes. Your builders should know.
They should know.
The Fireplace person should tell you when you buy your box what you need to do so that you can design for that. Or if you're a designer, you're going to want to ask the Fireplace person where you're buying your insert or your box what you need to do to accommodate for code. And then that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, our cute Texas builder, I was just like, cost for like that millwork tile. He's like, yeah, just like depending on the level of detail for the millwork will, depend on the final price. But he's like, you're $1,000 to $3,000 is what he said, because you're, especially if you're not doing like a full slab around your firebox, if you're doing tile like Jess did, where you like find one that has a lot of variety that you can't really tell because you tight grouting it and everything. He's like, you're, several square feet of that plus the millwork. He's like, you're $1,000 to $3,000, which I was like, that makes sense. So it's a great look. Yeah. And it isn't, when we started this, you're like, I wonder if the pendulum will swing back to this.
Yeah. I haven't seen millwork mantels in a minute.
We're doing one home in Florida and it's a little bit more colonial looking. And so we're still doing it there. So I can too, depending on the style of
that would make
that you
sense.
You would use millwork more than just like a precast.
Yeah.
So it's fun to like inspect the trends a little bit. So
it is
we'll keep you tuned as what we see. Yeah. But we've never has a marble mantle been out of style. I will tell you that much right now.
I agree.
I don't think that's ever going to swing out.
Also, never has it been more readily available.
Agreed.
It's become normal to do, where I don't know where we would have gone like 15, 16 years ago. We wouldn't even think to do it, like unless we were doing like some French house. But even then, it was a lot of millwork. So it's fun to see the different craftsmen come into play, the materials that become available. Precast was a really nice patch in between these two eras to be able to get a look at a certain price point that's non-combustible. So, yeah.
Plus, I think the precast has come a long way. You know what I mean? Like there's just, as they progress, things like precast and kind of I don't want to say like inorganic materials, but just things like that. That's going to become more affordable and, create more cost savings because you're not having to bring the finished work guy in to, do his thing. So, yeah.
Do you know what I don't see coming back ever? The corner fireplace.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No.
There are some homes being built by mine right now, and I walk through and it's corner fireplace.
No.
I'm
just corner the builder and be like,
what are you doing?
This?
Yeah, exactly.
This? Shame on you.
It's you know what? It's hard. It's the space planning is hard when you have a diagonal like that. We have a good friend that's an architect, and he's like, you just in classical architecture, you never do irregular architecture, and throwing that fireplace on a diagonal, it's like the whole room is not ever going to be quite right. And then a lot of people are going to go ahead and put their TV above that. So you got two focal points at the same time.
And then are you turning your sofa on an angle? Like, what the actual?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, like I work really closely with a friend that has a diagonal fireplace, and I'm like, let's just space plan this, because you're going to have to do so much work to get it right. But it is her Achilles heel is having to, and your sister, we completely demolish that and redo it all. So if any of you, for any reason, are thinking about doing the diagonal fireplace, just don't. Yeah. Yeah. It's a really hard thing to overcome. Yeah. Your regular architecture.
It'll hurt you.
Yeah.
And honestly, if I'm a framer, I would rather just have to frame out the box on a flat wall rather than in a corner. Right? I don't know why that's even a thing. I think it's because it's like, oh, we're just going to save some space and it gives you more, floor. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it makes zero sense.
Yeah. I just had to say it out loud because friends don't let friends do corner fireplaces. And I don't see it coming back. We do see millwork probably coming back in the future, whether it be stain grade or paint grade or whatever. It's still a really good option today. I think it's still pretty, but I think, if money was no object, I think we'd all probably choose natural stone.
Yeah.
Yeah. As a number one. Yeah.
Most people that are like building is part of a community, right? And the builders just like doing this. That might be a standard. Please ask them if you can do it a different way.
Good point.
I would say that because they might be, well, that's it. That's the only way we do it. And you're like, well, I would pay for that upcharge. Of all the upcharges, I would pay for that upcharge to like frame my firebox on the biggest flat wall and have your furniture space plan around it. Because we just need to start correcting the wrong.
Yes.
So please like inform your builder that we shouldn't be doing that. I want it flat.
Yes.
I won't build with you unless you do it flat. Threat. Fear factor, guys. Please
Yes, definitely.
help us change the world.
Oh, you
One
could-
corner fireplace at a time.
You guys, that concludes our episode on fireplaces.
Ooh.
Thank
awesome.
you so much to our
Stayed with
listener
us. Thank
for writing in from the UK. Angela, I hope that answered your question. And I hope you guys have been able to tune in to see some of these examples. Thank you so much for listening. And I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek idea. You have to check out our online store. We've started our Black Friday sales and we're so excited about it. We've curated a special Black Friday collection that's available at amazing prices, best of the whole year. Thank you again for listening. Please leave us a 5-star review if you can. It helps other people find our podcast. It helps keep the gas in our tank. We love to hear what you say. We always start our podcast meetings with your reviews. So they definitely don't go unnoticed. We love them. You can also follow us on Instagram. I don't know if you guys know that, but you can follow us at Alice Lane Interiors. I know that's confusing because we're called Dear Alice, but our Instagram is Alice Lane Interiors. That's where you can see all of the fun projects that we're working on. And then you can also follow us at Alice Lane Home. That's our store side, where you can see what's happening at the store, all the latest, greatest products that Corey and I are developing and designing. And then you can also subscribe on YouTube and you can see these podcasts, which is really fun to finally get a visual. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Thank you, Sue, for all your research on fireplaces.
Amazing. Good job.
You bet, guys.
Yeah, you're the best. And we will catch you guys next time. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like our show, please leave a 5-star rating.